Welcome to the Soul Success Summit, where we share guidance on how to succeed on the goal line and the soul line. My name is Katja Rusanen, and I'm your host. I love helping coaches and healers shine their light, share their gifts, and succeed on purpose. I'm here with my good friend Tiffany Cano, who is the CEO of Highly Perceptive People Academy. She has been getting paid for healing since she was 8 years old. Many empaths, intuitives, transformational workshop leaders, and coaches hire her to help them see and heal their blind spots, be better at holding space and boundaries because most are overwhelmed, subconsciously guarded, take things personally, and contract when feeling fear and negativity. So she helps them be more clear and trust their intuition, feel safe to take confident and empowered action, and own their sense of self. In essence, Tiffany gets them even more aligned and congruent so that they can be even better at receiving more money, love, and joy. Tiffany is also the creator of Soul of an Empath podcast and the Knowing You show, as well as embodiment program, Conscious Creation, Love, and Empowerment, and the Highly Perceptive People online program. And that all sounds so amazing. So let's find out more. So, welcome to the Soul Success Summit, Tiffany.
Thank you. I loved when you said soul line, goal line, and soul line. I was like, yeah,
Yes,
we're getting the nice balance of of upper and lower, right?
that's right. And I think that's really a key because we are here. So we
hmm
need to do things on the goal line, which is the physical level, but at the same time, also seek the soul line development and moving forward there too. That's how I see it. And one of the things I am curious, and I'm also most likely the our watchers as well are like, you started healing at 8 years old. So what happened? Can you share a little bit more? What led you to this path?
I have always been able to see and heal since I was a small kid. And it scared me at times and intrigued me at others. I remember when I was 8 years old, I was at my dad's barn. He's a horse trainer. And I was doing something that looked like massage on one of his clients. And he said, "You should charge him $1 for 10 minutes." He had no idea what I was doing. He doesn't even remember telling me to do it, but I did. I started being an entrepreneur at 8 years young. Yep.
That's
Since then,
amazing.
I've obviously raised my rates, but but I started, when I was little and I started training with different healing masters and spiritual teachers as a teen. I was super into all the metaphysical and spiritual stuff. I was meditating. I started with things like gemstone healing, laying on of hands, reflexology, Reiki, um, shamanism. Then I went to college. So all that was like teens. Then I went to college. I studied sports medicine. And then I was dreaming about Master Choa Sui, who's the modern day founder of pranic healing and Arhatic yoga. And I started doing his work and became an instructor in my 20s. And then I also learned things like EFT, NLP, Sedona release, um, summit transformation. Um, I've got like a lot of tools. So then depending on what someone needs, I can just pull out a tool and help them.
Wow. Yes, you have a huge toolbox. That's
I
wonderful.
do.
Yeah. And in your opinion, because you have helped so many, so why do you think so many coaches and healers are not living their life to the fullest potential and using their gifts? What's holding them back?
Oftentimes, it's the deeper core wounds of not feeling loved, not feeling heard, not feeling valued, not feeling seen, not feeling safe, not feeling like they belong.
Mm.
And so when those kinds of old wounds, old stories, old beliefs can be released and then upgraded to them owning their power, owning their strength, owning their capacity to be love, to give and receive love, to be an instrument for the divine in a bigger way, and not just at work but in everyday activities too,
Mm.
that can create these spiritual muscles that can have a big impact. And it's also important that it's not just all spiritual. We need to have the practical and the earthly stuff too.
Yes.
Because, like, the yogis that just like sit and pray and meditate all the time, which is blissful, and I love that, they often don't, make a lot of money either.
Mm.
And then there's corporate people that are super focused on making money, and yet they're emotionally overwhelmed, they're tired, they lack peace. And so it's like they're lower chakra dominant, so their aura looks like this. Where the yogis and the spiritual, their aura looks like this. So the triangle is like going in this direction. And I like to help people be balanced and even on the top and the bottom of their aura, and open and receptive to the divine working through them.
Yeah. And I love when you say, I almost get this chills, like when you say that divine working through them, because that's so beautiful and powerful when that happens, when we have the openness to allow that to happen, almost like, and you speak about this surrendering. And so, can you share a little bit of more like what you're going to be sharing? Because we are kind of moving towards your topic. So, what are you going to talk specifically today?
Well, the theme is about using intuition and surrender to live a divinely guided life. And so I want to talk about the types of intuition and guidance that we can receive. Um, I also might do a little group healing or blessing if you would like me to do that.
Oh, yes,
And
please.
yeah, okay, okay, we'll work that in. Because I think it's so important that as heart-centered entrepreneurs open up to being more intuitive and guided, and
Mm,
having the discernment to know exactly, is the intuition actually coming from source, from our higher soul, from God, or is it from our ego? And having that dialed in with discernment is so important. So I'll be talking about that as well.
that sounds amazing. So now, people, take your pen and paper or however you take notes ready, so you can just check in this amazing teaching portion that we have coming on your way. Because intuition really, and there are so many people who are saying that, like even very business minded people, they are using intuition. They are tapping into that power and wisdom that can come through. So there is a lot of people who say they are trusting that intuition, and I would love you to be able to do the same. So that's why I was thinking of Tiffany when I was putting together the speakers, because this is a really key and super wonderful tool that you have, a gift you have. And now I give the stage to Tiffany to share more about intuition.
Okay. So their intuition is like an umbrella term, but what's underneath it are different types. So intuition might show up like clairvoyance, where you're seeing energy, seeing auras, seeing like a medical intuitive, seeing your spirit guides or angels. Um, then there's clairaudience, where you're hearing, like your inner ear is hearing the whispers from your soul, hearing the voice of your pets or nature or your guides. Clairsentience is where you're feeling, like you can feel the energy. I saw this quote yesterday that was said, speak to me in energy so that I can understand, right? Because the clairsentients, the empathics like myself, we feel energy so acutely, which has its pluses and minuses, right? We can feel what's going on with people, but if they're in a funk or a negative space, if you don't have healthy energetic boundaries that go with your feelings, then you can soak it up and sponge it up. So I do a lot with training people how to have better, healthier boundaries as well. And then there's claircognizance, and that's the knowing. It's when you know something, but you've never even studied it. It's just, oh, I know that answer. Or sometimes it comes down in the form of a download. Oh, I got this intuitive download about X, Y, and Z. Like so I'll give you a couple of examples. So an intuitive download, it might feel like you're under a waterfall because so many blessings often come with it. And I just start writing it down. But one of the biggest things that I learned when I got those downloads is to ask the follow-up question of by when? When do you want me to do this thing? Because when I was in my early 20s, I got this download about having a salt scrub line. And I made it for people, for dogs, for horses, and I was selling it, but it was 10 to 12 years too early for mainstream. Like I sold it, but it it would have been better if I would have saved more energy and ramp up for a decade from then, Because by the time it actually hit the market, I was burnt out. I had already been struggling swimming upstream with that download. So it's really important to ask the by when. And then listen to that. another another so what I do when I get the by when, um especially if it's not right now, I write it in an intuition journal so that I can circle back, and maybe even put a note on my calendar, um, for 3 years from now or 2 months from now, to circle back on the message and the action and timing. And that way you can still keep it like in this earthly space, but do it in divine timing. Now, another thing that I feel is important is when you can have discernment. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit more. To me, there's higher intuition, lower intuition, and heart intuition. And then there's all the messages that you get from your ego. Okay. So, like the lower intuition is often, in your solar plexus, it's your gut feeling. And that is usually the first place that people start cultivating intuition, is the gut feeling, which is not good. It's not bad. It's more visceral. The particles are bigger and more gross and dense, but it's also where your solar plexus chakra is, like right there at your tummy. And that often tends to be one of the dirtiest chakras on most people, because that's where we store our fear, our stress, our worry, our anxiety, our, trepidations about things. And so that gut feeling isn't always accurate, or sometimes it's partially accurate. It's like mixed in with what fears or egoic desires may be there. So I try to encourage people to listen to their heart, like shift up to your heart now. Okay, now listen from your heart space and what does your heart have to say? You know, what is your heart telling you to do about this? And then as they advance even more, we shift into like higher intuition and using like all the higher intuitive faculties. And those are softer. It's more like those whispers from the soul. The particles are smaller, more refined. Um, and there's a more, oftentimes, a more gentle energy that comes with it. It still may be direct, like sometimes there still is like a get it done now, or an urgency to it, but it's often like that whisper, the soft. And so, starting to learn discernment about what type of intuition it is and what's the level of accuracy. So, I actually teach my students, and I'm in the middle of a 7-week developing your third eye program right now with a series of students where I'm teaching them about discernment. Like, how do you tell if the message was accurate and what percentage is accurate? Because sometimes we'll get a message, let's say this is a thought form, but you know, only 70% is actually accurate. The other 30% was your ego's wants and desires, resistances, fears, etc. And it diluted and tainted the message. So that's why sometimes you might think you get intuition and it may or may not be accurate. So having that extra level of discernment part is so important. And even writing it down, like in that intuition journal, you think you got a message about something. Yay, good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. Now, rate it. Like, how accurate does it feel to you? And also put like the action step and the date, the by when you're to do this message, and put the date that you got the message. And then sometimes you just have to circle back later down the road and see if it truly was accurate, and you'll know based on the results. You know, like if you got the message to um create a Facebook ad about something, and then you know within that next month of the ad you got all these opt-ins, and the results were good, then great. Good job. Way to listen. But if you got the message of create a Facebook ad, but you didn't go with greater detail about, and now, God, what should be in this ad? What kind of subject line? What copy would be good for this ad? What gift or opt in or call to action would be best for this particular Facebook ad? And then you listen. You can get really granular and detailed like that, which will increase the accuracy of the message. Make sense?
Totally. And I love also that you are sharing very tangible things. Like, I love the idea about intuition journal. So people can start taking action. And I think that will be a wonderful way for starting to listen more, or however you receive different ways you receive the messages. I love that, like very tangible thing, what we can do now, next thing.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that helps with accuracy is how clean your aura is. So imagine that you're driving a car and the windshield is muddy and dirty. your visibility to see the road is limited because the windshield is muddy and dirty. Well,
Mm.
same thing with your aura. If your aura is very clean, very bright, very shiny, the clarity of the messages and your ability to actually receive it, process it, hear it goes way, way up the cleaner your aura is. But if you've just had a stressful moment and you're triggered or just in a funk or not feeling well physically, oftentimes the accuracy can dip or get mixed. And so doing a little self healing or asking for healing is a good thing to do for overall general maintenance. And especially if it's something that is important for you to have intuition about. And also, like releasing your cords and attachment because our ego always has opinions about what it wants, what it doesn't want, what it's afraid of, what it's resistant to, you know, and if we don't release our attachment, the ego talks really freaking loud. It's oftentimes far louder and denser than intuition. So releasing your attachments, your wants, your desires, and also not getting tricked or duped into thinking, well, that was a loud message. That doesn't mean it was accurate. It could have come from your inner child being afraid of something. That message could have come from you know a body part or your ego or your cave woman, having some instinctual reaction and giving a message, right? So learning how to really, really fine tune intuition takes time, but it's so worth it because it doesn't just help you with your business. It helps you with your relationships. It helps you with your health. It helps you with your social situations and friendships. It helps you with a stronger spiritual connection. I mean, it helps in every single area of your life and definitely with money. I would say the more I listened to my intuition and got empty, like really getting empty, releasing all of my cares, likes, wants, desires, and just getting empty and then letting the messages come in and pausing, not adding any of my own stuff to it, just pausing and then seeing if there's any more, about that. Tell me more about that, right? And then you get some more details and you pause and listen and then okay, and tell me more about that. Okay, and you pause and listen until it's complete. And that is a skill set, it's a muscle. And here's another little um thing that used to be challenging to me that maybe some of you have also experienced. I used to get woken up in the middle of the night with downloads and messages about my clients. And I thought, oh, this must be so important because they're waking me up, giving me this message. And maybe it was important, but I learned to have spiritual boundaries and make the request of, thank you so much. And will you please save that for when I'm in session with them or save that until my body is awake? I this body needs rest. I need to sleep so that I can be a better servant for you. So let's make a deal, right? Give me those divine messages when the body is awake, when I'm able to write it down or I'm in session with someone and I can apply those messages at that time.
I love that share. Thank you. Because Or sometimes it's like, oh wow, overload of things coming
Mhm.
through. So setting those boundaries, that is so important too.
And even if those downloads come as Niagara Falls, right? And it's just so much all at once. You can also say, thank you. And can we please just, you know, turn the volume down a little bit? Can we please, just soften it and let me give me smaller pieces. You can actually make those requests to God and your guides, and they'll usually honor that. But you have to ask.
Yeah, that is true. Like asking and because yeah, it's like, hey, hold on. So beautiful.
And
And now I'm just wondering if you would be willing to do that blessing or healing, or do you
I
have more?
will.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So please uncross your arms and your legs. I'm going to use my healing crystal to do some cleansing, and um and then after we do, a few minutes of cleansing, then I'll do a blessing. So how many minutes do I have for this part?
You take the time you need, dear.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, God, for the miraculous, merciful, instantaneous healing. May all the chakras, meridians, aura, body, physical body, or entire system be super cleansed. Okay, so your job on your end is to just be open, receptive, let go. Let that windshield get cleaner and cleaner. We want to drive a clean car. And even better when you can put God in the driver's seat, right? So let's go ahead and make space for the divine and intuition and guidance. Release, 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 let go. And also let go of wants, fears, attachments. Because after we do this cleansing and a blessing, I'll create space for you guys to ask a question and receive intuition about it. Okay, so whatever it is that you want to ask, I want you to release. You can keep the actual and like the question, but release everything else that's connected to it. Your resistance to what may show up, any fears, any wants, and just get empty, empty, empty. The saying about the teacher can't teach when the cup is already full. Well, same thing with intuition. Like if your cup is already full with all the things that you want, desire, don't want, and is just full, there's no space for the divine to pour anything into you. So just let go. Hmm, that's getting better. Good. I can feel you guys softening and getting into a more receptive space, which is very, very good. Especially let go around your front and back solar plexus, where your stomach is. Let that get cleaner and cleaner. Good job. All right. If you're ready, now I'll go ahead and start with the blessing. So just allow yourself to receive. You may feel my hand on or around your back heart chakra and your crown chakra areas to start with. Thank you, God, for blessing them with the ability to be much, much more intuitive, the ability to listen, to hear, to see, to know, to be able to have accurate messages, accurate discernment. Thank you for the self-confidence to take action on the messages. Thank you for the wisdom, the intuition, the guidance. I'm shifting one hand to your forehead, one hand on the back of your heart. Just let the love and the healing and the blessings pour in. Okay, so my hands are now at your forehead and the back of your head. Just smile and receive. Good. My hands are pulling away now. So put your hands on your heart in prayer position and just breathe, letting these blessings integrate more deeply. Good. Now, in this quiet space, ask your question that you wanted to receive guidance about. And with your eyes closed, but in an upward gaze with your eyes, with your eyelids closed, ask the question and receive. Just get still and quiet. And then ask, is there anything more about that? And ask, and when? When would this be good to implement? Good job. When you're ready, you can just write it down for 30 seconds or a minute, any messages that you got. Very good. All right. How do you feel? What did you notice? Anything you want to share?
Wow, that was absolutely beautiful. At least I feel much, much more lighter. So that was beautiful experience. So thank you for that, Tiffany.
You're welcome.
And thank you for all the wisdom that you shared, because you definitely gave us a lot to think about. And I love as well that you brought in this experience. So people could really truly experience a little bit of your work as well. And also, if people want to take these things further, you have generously given a gift for all the uh, participants here. So, can you share a little bit about that?
Yes. So I have a couple different gifts for you. The first one is cultivating inner strength. And it's like a guided meditative healing audio that will help you connect to source and bring that energy down into you to give you that core of strength and resiliency so that no matter what comes at you in life, like you're clean and strong and clear. And
Mm.
also as that divinity comes in, you might also get more intuition and guidance, especially if you're still in quiet after you've listened to it.
Wow. So
Yep.
that's definitely people like think about having access to that and listening and keep continuing this journey that we started here. So I highly encourage you to go there and get that gift. And then you also are going to give a gift to our VIPs. So if you haven't yet, you still can upgrade to be a VIP. So can you share a little bit about the VIP gift?
Yes. My money magnet program is 20 minutes of prosperity healings over 20 days. And each day has a different healing, a different focus, a different topic on how to be more prosperous, how to grow your money space. So, for all you VIPs, you can grab that. And then, can I just give them one other little gift
Sure.
to anyone who's
Sure.
watching? Okay. I will gift you a 15-minute blind spot session with me where we're going in and we're looking at where your blind spots are
Mm.
and tell me what area of life that you want me to focus on and help you with, and we'll get in there and see what's in your way and clear it out. And so you can get that at tiffany15.com, Tiffany, the numbers 15.com. And that'll just, give you 15 minutes on my calendar with me, and we could keep exploring and seeing how I can best support you.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your generous gifts. And now, as we start wrapping up here, I just want to ask, do you have a final message that you would like to share with the audience?
Get empty. Get
Hmm.
empty. We're, as entrepreneurs, we're so full with our to-do list, ideas, um, all these things that we could, should, want, don't want to do. Just get empty. And when you're empty, that's when the divine can really use you, where you can be that instrument, that vessel. And I think that it also brings a tremendous amount of peace and harmony and attunement and alignment with source.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for that message, and thank you for your time and all the work that you do in the world.